of them rolling over onto each other there. You know, having Incarn as that extra cooldown becomes such a strong effect when you're able to have it up for the entire duration of the versus. And even as they're constantly rolling over, they go from a 5 to a 7 there. They're still having to deal with the extra ticks here as Hadron does go in vertically. Probably have to get the battle res out very quickly on him. They do it out quickly, be able to dispel out of this. As Incarn does finally roll down, finally they get rid of all the attacks here.
You know, like, these guys are victory. They don't know where the other team is at. That pull was a little bit, you know, unnecessarily dangerous. These guys were struggling a lot in practice on this map, and so this performance out of them is really, really admirable. You know, they did make a little mistake, and it comes down to, of course, you gotta go slow to go fast.
Yep, right? And you are seeing Luffy really low on mana here as they, of course, that we're getting some of those interrupts missed on some of Skjald's minions there. And very important, you know, even while they are ahead, I do agree with them making sure they're sticking to their plan, sticking to their strategy to have that larger pull on the deck, take advantage of Bloodlust, make sure they're getting through this. Because like you said, you know, they have had, you know, some inconsistent practice sessions of having to deal with, you know, some of the extra wipes, or, you know, throughout the night, they're not getting every single run of the instance the way that they wanted to get it. But right here, we're seeing, you know, the more that they're going to be able to stick to their plans, stick to their guns, it's really been paying off for them. And as they're here getting Skjald down, they're in a very good position to have a strong Helia kill.
And of course, now is the time to beat now for Team Omega Snipe to really show the world that they've put in the time. The fastest time here in Maw of Souls is 10:18 by Shell's Angels last week in EU. So we'll see how they get for tentacle spawns. If they get some nice melee tentacles on the front of the boat, it'll be really beneficial for Fired Up as well as Zongo to do optimal cleave. And, you know, that just speeds the whole process up.
Yeah, and at this point, they've got about 3 minutes to be able to have very close times, like you said, with Shell's Angels here. Important to note, they do have to be killing 6 tentacles. And, you know, they have the destructors that need to be tanked. Otherwise, they will just start slamming the ground, dealing AoE damage to everybody. Or, of course, you know, if there's not a tank in range, but there is, you know, melee DPS, they'll basically just be insta-killing them. And, of course, you have the Graspings, which are just kind of holding on to the sides of the ship here. It's very important to watch that positioning, staying to the edge of the boats here, making sure that they're able to kind of get everybody in together here. We are also seeing, you know, as Luffy is, of course, taking advantage of that Lady and the Child, Fury of Nature, being able to get, of course, the Moonfire cleave damage, and also just the additional arcane damage out of course, the Moonfires there. Very safe option to be able to run with, as you're seeing JB in Method NA's run of the dungeon. You know, a lot of times sitting back, making sure he's playing safe here, and at this point, that's all that Team Omega Sniped really needs, just play safe.
Yeah, you know, this is, you know, looking like they've gotten quite exceptional tentacle spawns here on Helia. Its boss is going down really smoothly. Just one more tentacle to go. They're going to kill that Grasping. Now, when you're in the situation, of course, you see the Grasping is falling. These, of course, have much less health than the Destructor, so whenever possible, you want to opt to kill a Grasping Tentacle over Destructor Tentacle. We see Dark Slashers is now one full boss behind. They've just engaged Harboron, and this is Omega Snipe's game.
Yeah, and at this point with Dark Slashers, I mean, you know, like you said, there can be the butterfly, you know, in your stomach. You can have that nervousness going into a tournament, especially one when you're not as well prepared as the other teams. But at this point, you know, they need to be able to have this, start having that conversation as they're going through this, what they want to be planning for as their counter pick, and how they really intend to get back into the series. Because we have seen teams, you know, already with Method NA, right, winning, of course, you know, the opponent's map, and this is something that can have, you know, that stronger potential. And especially if you're not super well versed, because as Team Omega Snipes has, like Method, been streaming a lot of their practice, but they haven't been streaming their counter picks a lot of times. So that kind of opens up a possibility of saying, you know, if we're able to kind of align what our counter picks could be, this could be something more favorable to it. But at this point, Dark Slashers just has to look into the future.
Yeah, we'll have to see where we're going to be heading off for the next one. This is looking really good from these guys. They're probably not going to quite inch out that one phase, but we are looking at a, you know, easily a top 5 finish here in Maw of Souls as far as leaderboard time is concerned. You know, of course, these guys are only practicing that first round map pick, so maybe we'll see a really clever counter pick, like last series, taking Limit to Maw of Soul, or to the Eye of Ashara. You know, that was really brilliant. You know, we have that Druid versus the Holy Paladin, the skips that are possible. You know, that's the kind of, you know, smart forward thinking that we want to see these teams you know, really utilizing in this tournament.
Yep, and you're about to see the Submerge going down onto Helia here as she goes down to 73%. And of course, you know, they're about to hit that kind of 10-18 mark from Shell's Angels there, so they're not going to be getting the best time possible, but this definitely looks like it's going to be a top 5 finish from Team Omega Snipe here. And that's one of the things is, you know, Omega Snipe came into this, I believe, as the 2nd seed into this tournament. Very important to make sure that, you know, they're setting themselves up for success by getting that first map down. Because as we saw in EU, it's so easy, you know, if another team is a lower seed, to be able to just practice Maw of Souls like crazy and be able to kind of knock off those larger seeds early on.
It looks like we're going to see this. I believe this is now the new 4th best time here in Maw of Souls. Really beautiful dungeon out of Team Omega Snipe. You know, this is the kind of excellent gameplay you want to see.
Oh, show me the loot. I want to see if Luffy can at least get one piece. They go on that ship and they go about it merrily. Now the question is, how will they be able to fare as they move throughout the rest of these dungeons? But I want to turn our attention very quickly onto Dark Slashers. Obviously, the full screen BM does come out a little bit early, so we don't get to see the full run. But was there one moment for you, Jack, where you said, okay, this is where it's going wrong for Dark Slashers?
Well, it really was the death at the very start off of Rev. You know, whenever you're having the tank going down so early on, it does, you know, really start setting the tone for everything going forward. When you're saying, we've been practicing this so often, we know, you know, exactly how we want to make these pulls, and then you're just having the tank death immediately going out there. You know, it's some kind of miscommunication, you know, misuse of cooldowns. Something was getting pulled that they weren't prepared for, and that just kind of sets you off and maybe starts the tilt off immediately from the dungeon and starts, you know, causing it to kind of the whole team really to start faltering early on.
Yeah, you know, it's also really fun. I'm going to just turn back and be like, this week is so much fun for us. I know a lot of us get to play with these players all the time, and now all of a sudden we're seeing the MDI grow. We're starting to learn the stories of these teams, and with that, we also do know the situation that Dark Slashers really are in. Rev, we've watched his stream quite a bit. We've ran keys with him quite a bit. In a situation right now where they're probably not as practiced, does that telegraph anything to you, Sours? What do you think Dark Slashers are going to try to do that, even though maybe they don't have the most practice, how will they try to catch Team Omega Snipe off?
Or faster than the other guy, right? So they just got to stay tuned, maybe something that they've done a lot on live. Maybe there's a favorite key they like to push, you know, then they've got to take that and turn it into something slightly faster for this 22 speed setting, and then just got to cruise through to the end.
That is definitely going to be something that we hope to see, but it's going to be after this break. This NA weekend is already off to an incredible start. We're starting to see a bunch of the players that we already have these crazy storylines for, but the biggest stories are about to be formed. We are going to see which teams, the final teams, to go to the first ever MDI LAN. When we return, it's Omega Snipe versus Dark Slashers. Omega Snipe leading by 1.